Welcome to Salacious TV, where we share some of the most salacious stories on the internet. Before we get into today's story, we humbly ask that you would like this video and subscribe to our channel. It doesn't cost you anything, but it really helps us out.
I was really looking forward to attending this year's annual conference hosted by the company I worked for. It was going to be in San Francisco again, and I was really looking forward to taking in the sights. The Golden Gate Bridge, Lombard Street, Pier 39. The company had rented 8 cars for us. If you wanted to use one, you went to the hospitality suite on the 3rd floor, picked up a key, and when you were done with the car, you returned the key. After a day of team-building sessions, I was ready to go sightseeing. I went to the hospitality suite, picked a key from the bowl, and went downstairs to the parking lot. I thought the cars would be basic transportation, but when I got to the parking lot, I was pleasantly surprised to find out that I had picked up a key fob to a black 2022 Camaro convertible. What was going to be a half-hour drive to the Golden Gate Bridge was about to become a 2 or 3 hour tour of the city. It wasn't the base model Camaro either. This was the SS model. I couldn't wait to crank it up and hear that 8-cylinder engine purr. When I sat down behind the wheel, I saw a post-it stuck to the steering wheel with a handwritten note that said "Call room 757. Now ordinarily I would pay a note like this no attention. But because I knew the note was left by someone that worked for the company, I decided I better call. I called the hotel front desk for my cell and they patched me through to room 757. A woman answered. She said,
"Jasmine Stanley here."
"Jasmine, my name is Martin Evans. I just sat down in the black Camaro downstairs and saw the note taped to the steering wheel that said call room 757. So what can I do for you?"
Wow, thanks for calling. Where are you going?
"Golden Gate Bridge, Pier 39, and then driving around." "Why?"
Are you alone?
"Yes." "Why the note?"
I left something in the car. Don't go, okay? I'll be down in less than 5 minutes.
I dropped the convertible top on the Camaro. I brought my backpack with me and put it in the trunk. I really hoped I wouldn't have to do any work, but I always kept my computer and tablet close just in case. I opened the driver's side door and settled into the seat. I looked up and I saw a tall brunette walking quickly towards me. She was wearing white pants that accentuated her shape, a green blouse that showed the perfect amount of cleavage, 3-inch sandals, and a beautiful smile. She went to the passenger side and climbed in. She turned to me and stuck out her hand.
Hi, I'm Jasmine. Glad to meet you.
"You said you left something in the car."
I did. Me. I'm from our Syracuse office where there's 3 feet of snow on the ground. I don't want to miss any opportunity to drive around in this while we're here.
So the post-it note. That was an interesting way to invite yourself along.
If you'd rather be alone.
The look she gave me said she knew she wasn't getting out of the car. I knew it too, and I said, "Oh no, I'd love the company." I pushed the button and the engine came to life. Oh, the sound of the V8. We drove around and enjoyed the sunshine, the wind, the sights of San Francisco. And although I'm a happily married man, I have to confess that I enjoyed having a very gorgeous woman next to me. She shared her story with me as we drove. She was 33, divorced for almost 2 years, and this was her first trip to San Francisco for our annual conference. It was my 5th year coming to the conference, so I knew San Francisco pretty well. By 12:30 I was hungry, so I asked if she would like to have lunch. She asked if I knew a good Mexican restaurant. I turned and headed toward Bernal Heights. We dined al fresco and had a great lunch. Twice during the meal she touched my arm. Both times she was looking me right in the eyes. I'm married and I've been out of the game for a while, so I wondered if I was reading her signals correctly. At the end of the meal, the waitress dropped off the bill. Jasmine said,
"You've been nice enough to let me come along. Let me get lunch."
When she got her card back and the bill signed, we stood to leave the restaurant. She stepped close as we walked back to the Camaro and hugged my arm with hers, pressing her left amplage against my arm. It felt really good. I noticed people looking at us and smiling. In a mirror we walked past, I saw us and saw that I really looked good with her holding on to me. Then I said to myself, "Martin, you are married. Martin, you are married." I delicately unhooked my arm from Jasmine's. We got back in the car and continued our tour. I liked being the tour guide for Jasmine, who seemed to be having a great time. By the time we were back at the hotel, it was getting dark. She said,
I don't want this to end.
"It's been a wonderful day." I agreed. I put the top up and we got out of the car. As she got out, she removed a Post-it from the steering wheel and crumpled it. She looked up at me and said,
I don't need it anymore.
We walked inside the hotel without touching. Discreet. If she had still been hanging on my arm or too close to me, word would reach my wife before I made it to my room. In the elevator, I held the key to the Camaro in my hand. I hit the button for the 3rd floor, where the hospitality suite and the bowl were located. She took the key from me and said,
I'll return it for you on 2 conditions. You tell me what room you're in, and if you decide to take another drive, you invite me along.
Bells rang in my head and I felt a reaction in my slacks. Martin, you are married. Martin, you are married. Nevertheless, I said, 721. Her finger hit the button for the 7th floor, and when the doors opened on 3, she stepped out. She walked away and I washed her hips as the doors closed. Back in my room, I cleaned up a little. In my brain, I said, don't let her in. You don't need to clean up. You're married and you're not going to cheat. God, don't you want to see her body? She wants to show you her body. I heard a knock. My blood pressure went up 20 points. I took a deep breath. I opened the door. What I saw was Jasmine's smile. She moved past me, and I closed the door. She turned and helped me move to the center of the floor space. She flipped the lock on the door and said,
Face the windows, please.
The drapes were open and the view was all the way to the bay. I looked and she said,
Okay, now you can turn around.
I turned around and saw lace. She had taken her clothes off and was now standing in the middle of my hotel room dressed in nothing but sexy black lingerie and 4-inch heels. She said,
I know you're married, and I don't want to mess with your marriage. I like you a lot. I'll be here once a year. What I want is a man who will love me and treat me right 1 week a year. Can you do that?
She wrapped her arms around me, kissing me softly on my cheek. Her touch was electric. I was on fire, and I had all sorts of visions swirling in my head. I had visions of my wife coming out of the bathroom and seeing me all over Jasmine. I had visions of a courtroom with my mom and dad looking disappointed at me for being an adulterer. I had visions of me as a broke divorced man living in a dirty, stank-ass studio apartment eating cold beans out of a can. I took a step back, let go of Jasmine, and said, Jasmine, I can't. I want to. I've thought of the possibility 100 times since I called your room this morning. You're beautiful, fun to be with, and sexy. But so is my wife.
I understand. I'm torn too. Maybe your character and integrity is why I'm so drawn to you.
She put her clothes back on.
I hope your wife knows how lucky she is. I'd offer to tell her, but that wouldn't be right.
There were tears in her eyes that didn't fall.
Just so you know, you're the only man besides my husband and doctor who has seen my body like that. I should say my ex-husband.
15 seconds later, she was gone. I sat on the bed, feeling her in my hands and visualizing her standing there for over an hour. The phone rang. On the 3rd ring, I answered. It was Dave Thomas from my office.
You available for dinner?
He asked. Sure.
Meet us downstairs in 45 minutes and we'll go out on the town.
I don't drink, and the guys always ask me to come out with them when we're out of town to be their designated driver. I showered, put on clean clothes, and headed downstairs to the lobby. Dave came out of the elevator with 2 other guys from Austin. In the parking lot, we found a blue 4-door sedan, and Dave handed me the keys.
Martin, do you know of any good Mexican restaurants?
I said sure, and I took them back to where Jasmine and I had lunch earlier. I saw the same waitress that had served us and was glad she wasn't serving our table, as she might have recognized me and maybe even asked me where Jasmine was. As I was finishing my enchiladas, my cell rang. The caller ID showed the call was for my wife's sister, Amy. I excused myself and stepped out into the street and answered. This is Martin. Amy was upset. Had she been crying?
Martin, this is Amy. I knew you were in San Francisco, so I decided to surprise my sister and take her to dinner. I looked in your front window before I knocked on the door and saw her on the couch with your next-door neighbor on top of her having relations with her.
What? I yelled. People around me moved a few feet farther away. Dave and John both looked over at me.
I took 2 pictures with my cell phone. I'm so sorry, brother-in-law. You don't deserve this. You have been an amazing husband to my sister and you don't deserve to be cheated on.
My head was swirling and I didn't want to believe what Amy just said. Was this some kind of joke? Amy, send me the pictures. While I waited for them, I stood still in the street staring at my phone. When the pictures arrived, I could tell it was Linda and Mr. Scott. I could see they were doing it. Linda was wearing the pink teddy I gave her. It was pulled down and all of her ampleness was exposed. I called my sister-in-law back. Amy, thanks for telling me. Not every sister would be as forthcoming as you. Most would probably protect their sister even though they knew she was wrong. Does she know you saw her? Did you actually knock on the door?
No. I was so shocked by what I saw I just left. I'm sitting down the street in my car now.
Amy, I need a favor. Don't talk to Linda and don't tell her that you've talked to me.
What are you going to do?
I don't have a clue. I've never been here before. I've got some thinking to do. But thanks again, Amy, for the heads up. I know it wasn't the call you wanted to make, and it damn sure wasn't the call I wanted to receive. We both said bye and hung up. When I went back to the table, Dave asked,
Bad news?
Yeah, I'm not sure how bad though. I need to get back to the hotel. I know you guys wanted me to be the designated driver, but not tonight. Half an hour later, I was in my room again. I dialed Scott's phone number and Mrs. Scott answered. I said, Hi, it's Martin. She said,
Know the name of a good liar.
What?
Our spouses have been messing around, and I am done. I want to find the nastiest, meanest lawyer in Austin. And I want to take that sorry-ass soon-to-be ex-husband of mine to the cleaners.
How do you know? I asked. I knew that Melinda hadn't sent her the pictures.
I've suspected for some time. Today he went out to do some errands, but he forgot his wallet. I knew he'd come right back when he discovered he'd forgotten it. He's still gone. I got to thinking about where he might be, so I went up to your house and looked in the front window. She was on her knees. They didn't even have the common decency to close the window shades. Another neighbor saw me looking through the window at our good-for-nothing spouses and apologized. She said they'd been going at it like this for about a year. She just didn't have the heart to tell either of us.
Damn it. I'll find a good lawyer and we'll share the costs. Thanks for telling me, and please don't say I called.
Okay, I'm going to my sister's house. I won't be here when the SOB gets home.
She hung up. I had to get some air, so I went down to the lobby, and then I decided I'd go for a walk outside. As I approached the door, I saw my supervisor and the CEO of the company walking into the lobby from outside. I headed for them. Could I have a few minutes of your time? I asked. They said sure. We found a booth in the corner of the lobby, and Justin Trent, the CEO, said, What's going on? You look like you've just seen a ghost. I told them both what just happened. Then I asked if there was somewhere in the company where I could be transferred immediately. It took 10 long seconds before Mr. Trent answered. He said,
How soon is immediately? We were just talking about an office that needs someone just like you.
The conference is over on Friday. I'd really like to be working in the new office 2 weeks later. Obviously, I have quite a bit of legal and financial business to handle first.
Well, consider it done. You're officially transferred. When you get home, hire a moving company to pack up and move your things. Obviously, the company will pay them and for all the expenses associated with the move.
Mr. Trent said. My supervisor said,
Martin, I'm sorry to lose you. Maybe it would be best if you left soon and got started on moving.
That sounds good. All of a sudden, I realized that I requested and agreed to a transfer without asking where I was being transferred to. By the way, where am I transferring to?
Detroit.
I shook hands with both men and left them in the lobby. It was almost 9 o'clock. I hit the button for the 7th floor, and when the doors opened on 7, I saw the sign that said, Rooms 701 to 750 to the left. Rooms 751 to 799 to the right. I turned to the right. My room was to the left. At room 757 I stopped and stood in front of the door. I knocked. No answer. I knocked again. A woman's voice asked,
Who is it?
It's a black Camaro convertible. The door opened. It was obvious she was ready for bed. Instead of the lingerie that she had on when she came to my room, she was now wearing a full set of pajamas. I was thinking about taking a nighttime drive by the bridge. Would you like to go with me?
It's 9:30 at night and you're married.
I'll take that as a no. Well, about the married part. I just found out my wife has been screwing our next-door neighbor. She knew that adultery was a deal breaker for me, so I am out. I am no longer married, period.
Just like that.
Just like that, I said. I'm sorry, but I think a real man has to have standards and he has to stand on his word. I told her numerous times that if she cheats, I'm out. I was crystal clear, and she knew it.
So you won't forgive her even if it was just one time?
Nope. I would forgive a lot of things, but not cheating. I just believe that if I can trust you to be faithful to me, what can I trust you with? No. You might say I'm being irrational, but my word is my bond, and I'm standing on it, period. We stood looking at each other. My eyes were starting to well up with tears when all of a sudden she grabbed my shirt front and pulled me into her room. She closed the door and double-locked it. She was unbuttoning her pajama shirt when she turned to face me. I held up a hand. She stopped. Who is your supervisor?
Jean Landon. Why?
Good. She works in a different division. In a few days I'll be taking over the Detroit office. You don't work for me.
Detroit is over 400 miles from Syracuse.
Yes, and that's better than 1,400 miles from Austin. Earlier you said, I want a man who will treat me good and love me right 1 week a year. What I want to know is, can I interest you in more than 1 week a year? We kissed and she whispered in my ear.
Yes, and I want to start with 1 week. I'm still hurting from my divorce. You haven't even started hurting from yours yet. I'm interested in you and I'm scared. Can we take this slowly?
I've got to leave in the morning. We can officially begin whatever this is when I get to Detroit, if you'd like. I can't even give you the week you asked for. How about weekends when I get to Detroit? I kissed her again. She wrapped her arms around my neck, kissed me ever so softly, and whispered,
Then give me the rest of tonight.
Her fingers resumed unbuttoning her pajamas. My fingers worked on my clothes, and quite soon we were both undressed. We kissed again. We enjoyed each other's body. I took my time exploring every inch of Jasmine. I was filled with a range of emotions. I was hurt that my wife cheated on me. I was trying to be cavalier, but I was really hurting. I really loved my wife, and she cheated on me with my whack-ass neighbor. What the F? I may not be a supermodel, but next to that frumpy piece of S, I'm an Adonis. A part of me felt guilty that I was in bed with Jasmine. Is this too soon? Is this revenge sex? Should I have waited longer before seeking another woman? Because I'm still married, I'm committing adultery too. Am I wrong? Probably. Maybe. Maybe not. I'd wrestle with all of that some other time. I decided instead to focus on the beautiful woman beside me and on what might become between us. After we had finished our session, we laid beside each other basking in the afterglow. I'm going to be very busy. I need to rent a place to live, get my things packed in Austin, and get to Detroit. Jasmine sat up and said,
My sister sells real estate in Detroit. Her office also does rental management. If you'd like, I could call her. I'm sure she'd be willing to help you find a place.
Since it's almost midnight here, maybe we shouldn't call her now, I said. She laid back down beside me and hugged me.
Right. Let's wait until at least 9 o'clock in the morning, Detroit time.
I asked, am I staying the night or going back to my room?
Stay. This is the first night here in San Francisco that I've liked my hotel room.
Can I ask personal questions?
Sure.
What happened to your marriage?
We were married for over 3 years. We never did it before we were married. We met at church, were married a year later. We honeymooned in Aruba. During our week-long honeymoon, we were only intimate twice. In our 3 years of marriage, we did it 5 times. 5 times. Can you imagine what that felt like? It crushed me. I was in a constant state of depression, and I thought the reason we weren't having relations is because of something I was or was not doing. I began to believe that I was unattractive. I began to believe I was less than. And then the week of our 3rd anniversary, that turd told me he was leaving me and that he was in love with someone else.
Let me guess. The someone else was a guy, right? I asked. She nodded.
Yes. He said that marrying me was the acceptable thing to do in the eyes of God and the church. He thought that he could repress his feelings, but he eventually realized that he had to live his truth and that he deserved to be happy. And I get that. I just wish he had decided to live his truth without leading me on. To this day, even though my brain knows it wasn't anything I did, a part of me still believes it was my fault that the marriage fell apart.
We sat in silence for a while. I noticed a tear run down Jasmine's face. Then I decided to break the ice. Well, I'm not gay. I drove all over San Francisco excited. I could barely focus on the road, and I could barely keep my eyes off of you. It's been a long time since I've felt that way. It's been a long time since I wanted a woman the way I wanted you that day.
Keep telling me that. I want to believe you.
I need to be in my own room by 8:30. There's a Zoom call I'd like to be on.
Okay. After the call, will you go back to Austin?
Yes. I want to get there while my soon-to-be ex-wife is still at work. I've already lined up some friends who are coming over to help me get moved out before I even have to see her.
So I'll ask again. No chance of a reconciliation?
None. When we got married, I told her that sex outside our marriage was a deal breaker. We're done. That's it.
I'll keep that in mind. But Martin, isn't that what I offered you? Sex outside your marriage?
Yes. And while I was really attracted to you and really tempted, I turned you down. You weren't cheating on your husband. I wasn't cheating on my wife. Linda broke our agreement. The woman that I thought was my faithful and dutiful wife has been screwing around on me for at least a year.
I haven't been with anyone since Derek left. When we were on the plane coming here, I realized I needed someone to love me. When Derek left, he left me thinking I was damaged. He left me to be with a man.
So, you were looking for a man who would love you for just this week. A man that would remind you that you are still desirable with no strings attached. How am I doing?
Better than I could have imagined. But now I have another concern. Am I your rebound relationship?
Do you want to be?
Heck no. I want more than that. When I got in the Camaro, I was prepared for a fling, a one-night stand, and I was hoping for an entanglement for the week. But I felt a connection with you right from the start.
Jasmine set the clock for 7:30. We held each other, and I turned off the lights. The lights from San Francisco lit up the room enough that I could still see. It wasn't long before I was almost drifted off.
I wasn't going to come to San Francisco.
I'm glad you did. I kissed the back of her neck and we went to sleep. When I woke up, Jasmine was sitting beside me in bed, talking softly on the phone.
He's awake. Ask him your questions.
Good morning.
Good morning, Martin. Jasmine tells me you need a place to live in Detroit.
I do. I don't know much about Detroit, so I'll tell you where my office is and you tell me where I should live. I told her and she asked how much I was willing to spend. I told her how much I was paying in Austin.
You want one bedroom or two?
One will be fine as long as the place is big. 1,200 square feet at least.
I think I understand. Thank you for trusting Jasmine and me to take care of you.
I gave her my number, and she said she'd get back to me as soon as she found something that she thought would work.
Please be kind to my sister. I love her, and her divorce hurt her deeply.
I plan to be the best man that has ever been in her life.
Okay then. Do you have a brother?
We all laughed. We hung up just as the alarm went off. Jasmine pulled me out of bed and into the shower. We get cleaned up. I dressed and kissed her one more time before going to my room. As the door closed, I saw her pick up the phone. I walked to the other end of the hallway and entered my room. I changed clothes and packed. I called a moving company and made arrangements for them to arrive the next day at 9 in the morning. I specified they needed to have me out and gone by 3 in the afternoon. We agreed on a price and I gave them my credit card for the deposit. I called a friend who lived near Linda and I in Austin. When he answered, I asked, how well can I trust you?
Depends. If you want me to loan you $100, I got you covered. Any more than that, and you can kiss my ass.
We both laughed. How about a promise to keep your mouth shut? You can't even share what I'm about to tell you with your wife until the weekend is over.
Hold on now. I don't keep secrets from her. Not even for you.
Is she home?
Yes. Want to talk to her?
Yes. Put it on speaker so I can talk to you both. I heard him call her and then a click as he put the call on speaker.
We're both here.
Okay, something has happened and I need your help. Before I say anything else, I need you both to promise that you will not speak to Linda until at least Sunday. Brenda asked.
Are you having an affair?
Nope. Answer my question, please. Jim said.
I promise.
I waited. Brenda finally said.
Okay, I promise.
Thanks. I need for you to come to our house tomorrow. I'm getting rid of things I no longer want or need. I'll tell you the whole story when you're at the house tomorrow. Nothing that is being disposed of belongs to Linda. Just my stuff. I want you both there so you can see why I'm leaving. Ask your questions and get the answers directly.
You're leaving her?
Brandy asked. You could hear the surprise in her voice. Yes. Please don't come before 8:45 in the morning.
I'll bring my truck. Did you think of Car World? They'll buy your car and give you cash the same day.
Jim said. Thanks. I'll call them. We ended a call. I made 2 other calls that sounded a lot like that one. Then, as I was about to make another call, someone knocked on the door. I opened the door and it was room service. He rolled a food cart inside and left. I uncovered the food and found 2 shrimp Caesar salads, 2 drinks, and a piece of chocolate cake I didn't order. Another knock on the door. It was Jasmine. She stepped inside.
You haven't eaten. Sit. We'll share.
We fed each other with kisses between bites. When lunch was eaten, she kissed me again and asked if I'd still be here around dinner time. I said yes, but I needed for it to be early. She said she knew of a nice quiet spot not far away. Where? I asked.
Room 757. How's 6 sound?
I'll be there.
No need to dress up for dinner. I'll be nude.
I called our corporate lawyer, and he already had been contacted by Mr. Trent and had a list of lawyers for me to call. I asked, if you were me, who would you call? He narrowed the list to one name. I thanked him. I called that lawyer and made arrangements to have Linda served at 3 o'clock Friday afternoon. He and I talked for an hour, and he agreed to stop by the house before noon. The call to Car World worked, and I had an appointment for 4 in the afternoon on Friday. I looked at the bedside clock and said that Thursday was all but gone. I made one more call to a nice 5-star hotel. I told them I'd be there before midnight. I was packed. I was ready. In the elevator, I realized I hadn't called Linda in a day and a half. I called her cell for mine. Her answer was not her normal, "Hi baby." Instead, she answered with,
Martin, are you okay?
"Yeah, I'm okay. Just super busy. I'm sorry I didn't call yesterday. I spent most of the day with my cell cut off. You forgive me." I heard her sigh a sigh of relief.
As long as you're okay. I have been worried. When are you coming home?
Saturday late afternoon. I'll probably leave San Francisco at about 1 or 2. That should have me home by 4 or 5.
Good baby. I'd like to take you out to dinner when you get here, okay?
Sure, that will be great. Have you been good while I've been gone?
I've been really busy. I'll wear the new pink teddy for you Saturday. Would you like that?
Actually, I'd prefer you Nate kid on Saturday. Well, I've got one more important meeting tonight, so I'll let you go, she said.
Martin, I love you.
Ditto. I hung up and shut off the phone. I hadn't lied. I did love her. I just couldn't stand the thought of ever being with her again. I loved her, but I didn't like her anymore. She said she had been busy. Yeah, busy servicing that dirtbag Scott. It was 5 minutes until 6. The elevator ride was quiet and I was alone. I stepped out into the hallway on the 7th floor, walked down to 757 and knocked. The door opened and Jasmine stood in front of me wearing nothing but thigh-high stockings and high-heel sandals. She smiled and motioned me in. When I stepped inside, I saw that dinner was already there. She helped me undress and then we kissed a few times and sat to have dinner. She said,
I want to know everything.
I told her everything. Between bites, touches, and kisses, dinner took a while. I wasn't complaining. When we're done eating, she said,
I want to run an idea by you. How about I go with you to Austin? I'll stay at the hotel while you go take care of business at your house. Then we can fly together to Detroit, meet my sister, and see your new place.
The phone in Jasmine's room rang. She got off my lap and answered. She handed the phone to me. Jasmine's sister said,
I called your cell, but it's going straight to voicemail. I have an apartment for you to see. When can you be here?
We'll book a flight for Sunday. Jasmine will call and give you the details. Tell me about the apartment, please.
It's 4 blocks from your office, 1,900 square feet. 3rd floor, 2 bedrooms, 2 baths. Same as what you're paying now. The leasing company requires a 1-year lease.
Sounds great. I like it already. Jasmine will call you tomorrow for sure. Thanks for everything, but I can't talk anymore right now.
Why not?
Because your sister is requesting my attention. I ended the call and gave it to her. At 9 we went to the parking garage and loaded our suitcases into my car. By 11 we were checked into the boutique hotel and were walking down the hallway to our room. I set the clock for 8 and Jasmine filled out the card for room service breakfast. We were unclothed and in bed before midnight. The alarm sounded too soon. Breakfast arrived while Jasmine was in the bathroom. We ate in the nude again. As we were getting dressed, she stopped me and pulled me close for a lingering kiss.
Just a reminder of what's here waiting on you. Hurry back.
I knew I wanted to get back as soon as I could. I went to the leasing agency that we leased the house through. I did the paperwork to transfer the lease to Linda only from us both. I paid the next month's rent. I saw the moving truck parked in front of the house. I walked through the house. Because she thought I wouldn't be back until Saturday, my soon-to-be ex-wife hadn't cleaned up. I found indisputable evidence in the bedroom trash can that she and Scott had been having relations. The laundry hamper smelled of sweat and sex, and the sheets on the bed were disgusting and needed to be washed. The movers gave me a roll of small yellow stickers. I tagged everything that was to go. The furniture I brought with me into the marriage got stickers, except the bed. She could have that nasty-ass thing. It was defiled, and it stunk to high heaven. The dining room table, the TV, my clothes, all of my things were going. As they worked, I explained the situation to my friends and gave them a few things that were of value but that I didn't want to take to Detroit, like my weight set, sports equipment, and a few other items. They agreed to stay in touch and to keep an eye on Linda. By 11:45 we were done. The house was stripped. I cleaned up so it wasn't a mess. I even vacuumed. I sat at the table and wrote her a note. Linda, before we got married I told you that adultery was a deal breaker. I meant it. I apologize for being so trusting that you thought you could screw around on me and get away with it. I left everything that was yours. I paid the rent until the end of next month. If you contest anything about the settlement, I will send pictures to everyone you know. Think about what pictures I might have. By the time you read this, I will no longer live in Austin. Martin. The kitchen clock read 3 p.m. I turned my key in at the office, and as I walked to the car, my phone rang. It was Linda.
What the hell is this?
I think it's called a divorce.
But for no reason. Wait, you've got another woman.
You've been screwing around. That's a deal breaker. I have witnesses and photographs. Don't insult me by denying it. The instant you let another man have your goods, we were done. We haven't been married for over a year.
It didn't mean anything. It was all physical. That was it. It's you I love.
Well, apparently your lust for our butt wipe of a neighbor outweighed your love for me. Because if you loved me, you would have remembered that I've told you on numerous occasions before we got married and afterwards that if you ever cheat on me, I'm leaving your ass expeditiously. So did you think I was bluffing? Or did you think I was so stupid that I would never find out? Or maybe you believed that if I did find out, I'd just simp out, forgive your cheating ass, and you could do it again. Wrong. I'm not that guy. I told you what would happen. You did it anyway for a whole damn year. A whole year. I hope it was worth it. I hung up and I was okay with everything. She was getting what she deserved. I wasn't angry, just hurt and disappointed. I drove to the hotel. Jasmine and I went to Car World, and an hour later I had a check and a rental car. I had forgotten to shut off my cell phone. At 5:30 we were parking at a restaurant near our hotel, and it rang. Jasmine asked,
Do you trust me?
I handed her the phone. She answered,
Martin Evans' office. May I help you?
She held the phone close to both our ears, and I heard Linda.
Who the hell are you?
I'm Mr. Evans' relocation coordinator. It's my job to assist him in his relocation. May I tell him you called?
This is his wife.
That's not possible. Mr. Evans is not married. If he were married, his spouse would be part of the move.
We heard her sob. Jasmine waited a few seconds and asked,
Is there a message you would like me to relay to Mr. Evans?
Tell him I love him and I want him back.
I will relay the message as soon as possible. Thank you for calling.
She hit the end button and slipped the phone into my shirt pocket. Jasmine looked into my face and asked,
Did I behave appropriately?
Perfectly. Thank you.
You do still love her.
It was a statement of fact, not a question. I nodded. I can stand her ass now, but you are right. I do still love the woman I married. We were seated by a window and watched the waves and the seagulls for a few moments before reading the menu. After our orders were placed, Jasmine said,
I like how you said that. You still love the woman you married, but you can't stand the woman she is now. I could say that same sentence with a gender change and it would be true.
Our drinks arrived and I made a toast. Here's to loving and liking each other for the rest of our lives. We clinked our glasses and we drank. By 9 we were back in our room. Jasmine asked,
Have you called everyone you needed to call?
I thought about her question and picked up the phone. First I called the 3 friends who had taken things from the apartment. All 3 had received calls from Linda. John's wife told me about answering the call and letting Linda go on for a few minutes with her story. She gave me the highlights. Linda told her I had been screwing around at the conference for years and now I was running off with a secretary with big breasts. John's wife eventually had enough and said,
I saw the pictures of you screwing someone besides Martin. Your story doesn't fly. Martin didn't cheat. You did.
I called Linda's mom. She answered with,
Okay, I've heard her story. Tell me yours.
I told her the short version.
Send me the pictures.
I've filed for divorce. If she does anything except sign the papers, you'll get the pictures, and so will lots of other people. Until then, I'll hang on to them. I called my parents in Idaho. My dad answered and said,
Linda called almost hysterical. What happened?
I told him,
Okay, I'll block calls from her. Are you okay?
Yes, I'm moving to Detroit, and as soon as I have an address and phone number, I'll get them to you. Tell Mom I love her, and while you're at it, remind yourself that I love you, too.
Okay, I'll tell her.
I called Linda's sister and thanked her for being so honest. She said Linda had called her 6 times and left messages. I told her to call back and tell her there had been a problem with her cell phone. When I hung up from that call, Jasmine was under the covers watching me. What? I asked.
You never were nasty. Hurt, yes, but no venom. Someday Linda will realize what she screwed wasn't the neighbor, it was herself. Oh my God. I have to make a call. I flew out with Tracy Spencer. She needs to know I won't be going back with her.
I heard the buzz of the phone in San Francisco ringing. Jasmine said,
Tracy, I'm sorry to call you so late, but I won't be flying back with you.
Jasmine put the phone on speaker. Tracy said,
I looked for you all over today. I finally thought to check with the front desk and they told me you checked out.
I did. I'm okay and I'm so sorry for not calling you earlier. Anything exciting happened at the conference today?
Yeah. Did you hear about Mr. Dunbar in Detroit?
No.
He no longer works for us. Mr. Trent found out that he was embezzling funds and he was let go. Mr. Evans from the Austin office is taking over that position.
Mr. Evans, do you know him?
No, but the word floating around is that he asked for the move. The folks from Austin think he's a good guy. Word is they really don't want him to go.
Any other news?
Nope. Why did you leave?
Something really pressing came up. Something that can ultimately be very good for the company. I'll tell you what I can next week.
I'm counting on it. Be safe and I'll see you in the office.
She hung up. It was time for us to get going. We went to the rental car booth near the airport and turned in the car, got our luggage on the bus, and rode in silence to the terminal. I checked our bags at the curb and we waited in line to get through security. After making it past TSA, we took a seat at our gate. I took out my tablet and asked where should I look for furniture. She called her sister and asked a question. Her sister asked how long I had before I started work. I said, Monday, 1 week from tomorrow. Jasmine put the speaker on and we huddled over the phone. Yulissa asked,
What kinds of things do you like?
Comfortable. I hate couches that are too deep. I want everything to have a modern feel. And I want a queen-sized bed. In a king-size, Jasmine will be too far away.
I think I have the picture. Jasmine knows where all the incidentals can be found, like pots and pans, dishes, curtains, rugs, and linens. I can give you some time this week, and we can hit the places that lease couches, chairs, tables, and the like. Or do you want to buy?
Let's look at the apartment first, I said. Yulissa said.
Okay, I'll talk to you soon.
The announcement came for our flight. We boarded. We had a direct flight that was about 3 hours long. It was dark when we landed at Detroit Metro. There was snow on the ground. I turned on my cell phone. 5 minutes later it rang. I expected it was our ride, Yulissa, so I didn't even look at the caller ID. I should have. It was Linda. This is Martin, I said.
I almost expected your relocation assistant.
Nope. This time you got me, Linda. When I said her name, Jasmine looked up in surprise.
Can this be fixed?
Willing to give up your job, move to Fairbanks, Alaska, and be a housewife.
Fairbanks. It snows there.
Snow on the ground 7 months a year.
You can come back here. I can make it up to you.
How? How can you erase the picture in my mind of you wearing the pink teddy I bought you while you were giving the cookies to another man? She cried. I waited. Finally she said,
When the papers come, I'll sign them.
The pilot's voice came over the pass system on the plane, and he said, Welcome to Detroit. Linda said.
I thought you said Fairbanks.
I did. I just said that to see if you'd be willing to follow me anywhere. It didn't matter anyway. There's no place on earth that we could go where I'd be willing to try to work things out.
Can we stay in contact?
As soon as I get the images of you and Scott out of my mind, I'll give you a call. I ended the call. We walked towards baggage claim. A woman walked near us and said,
Divorces can be so painful.
I looked at her and said, Sometimes someone deserves some pain. I got out the day I found out she cheated.
I suppose you're going to tell me this is your daughter?
No. We work for the same company, and she's my relocation coordinator. She managed getting me packed and moved to Detroit in 1 weekend. Pretty amazing woman.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No problem. My phone rang again. Jasmine had it in her hand. She looked at the screen and answered.
Mr. James' office.
A minute later, she hung up.
Our driver is waiting outside baggage claim. She's in a silver minivan.
Our first stop was the apartment building where I would be living. 2 elevators, double front doors, a doorman. A good first impression. As we walked from the elevator to the door, I noticed there were 6 apartments on the 3rd floor. Yulissa was in real estate mode. She told me about the neighbors to either side and above me. She told me about the building, the heat, the air conditioning, and then she opened the door. I loved it. In the kitchen was a counter. I said, Spread the papers on the counter. I'll sign. Can we get furniture tomorrow?
Yes.
Yulissa asked.
Buying or leasing?
Can I lease for 3 months and then either buy that stuff or give it back?
Either way.
We stayed in a nearby hotel that night, and by 3 the next day we had curtains up, the furniture arranged, and food in the refrigerator. I made a sandwich and my phone rang. The caller ID said, Trent. I answered.
Are you in Detroit?
He asked. Yes. I found a place and I'm 90% moved in.
I'm sure Jasmine was a big help.
He knew about Jasmine. She certainly was.
Martin, nothing said in this call will ever be repeated. I want honest answers, okay?
Yes.
Were you seeing Jasmine before the conference?
No. Never heard of her until we met in the parking lot.
Do you want me to offer her a transfer to Detroit?
Yes. When?
Well, if I do it too soon, everyone will assume she slept her way to Detroit. How about in 2.5 to 3 months?
Can it really look like she earned it?
Yep, because the reality is she did earn it. It was offered last October. She turned it down.
Does Deborah know it had been offered to Jasmine?
Yep. She suggested Jasmine for the position.
Then offer it again. If the position is still open, sweeten the pot and offer it again. Like you said, we haven't talked. He thanked me and the call ended. Friday I talked to Jasmine twice. She was really busy at work. In the morning her call was about how word had come down that Mr. Trent was coming that day and he was going to interview some people. In the afternoon she called and opened the call with,
How well do you know Mr. Trent?
Met him at the convention 3 years ago and talked to him last week in San Francisco. Why?
He offered me a transfer to Detroit. He made the same offer 3 months ago and I turned him down. He's offering more money now. Did you have anything to do with this?
Hiring and firing outside my division would be a conversation that would be unethical. He must have thought you were worth it 3 months ago and worth it now. Did you accept?
I told him I need until Monday to give him an answer. Baby, I've got to go. I'll talk to you after work.
Okay, we'll talk then. She hung up. I opened my laptop and found 20 emails from friends in Austin. Linda was telling people she kicked me out. When confronted by people saying they knew about the pictures, she said they were faked. 3 of the emails said they had seen her at dinner with different men. The email from my lawyer said when she came to his office, she rambled on about being blindsided and how I had run off like a simp, too afraid to offer a decent goodbye. She eventually shut her mouth and signed the papers. They had been filed, and our divorce would be final in the first week of August. Monday came, and Jasmine informed Mr. Trent that she'd accept the position in Detroit, which made me one happy man. If you had asked me a year ago if I thought my wife would ever cheat on me, I would have told you heck no, yet she did. If you had asked me a year ago if I could have envisioned myself here in Detroit with a woman other than my wife, I would have told you heck no, yet here I am. I really did love Linda, but as crazy as this may sound, I'm glad she did what she did. For the first time in a long time, I'm looking forward to the future. Things are really looking up for me in my professional life. Things are really looking up for me in my personal life. And I am looking forward to seeing where things go with Jasmine. Maybe one day we'll exchange vows and keep them.